Hi, it's Terri Gaines. I'm going to give you some assembly tips on creating this fun fold window card. You open the panel on the left, there's another panel on the right, and for this card I left it blank. I'm going to stamp a sentiment when I'm ready to send it out because it can be used for many different occasions. And this card I'm using some new product that was just released today, part of the Coronation product release that started today, February 4th, and it runs through March 31st. While supplies last. There's 4 die sets plus the designer series paper that I'm using for this project. It is called Pleased as Punch. It is 12 by 12 papers, double-sided. There's 4 different designs, 3 of each sheet, and as I mentioned, they're double-sided. And the fun thing about this paper, they coordinate with punches that are in the new mini catalog and the floral punch in the celebration brochure. I'm going to be using the sheet that has the tulip designs along with the floral design. I'm going to be using the stripe on the back. So some fun paper that's available today. And as I mentioned, it is 12 by 12. So I'm going to go ahead and get the tulip portion ready here. So the nice thing is you can use your punches to punch this out. I am going to take a paper snips and trim around this. I'm actually going to take this flower for the card. It closely matches the mango melody color. There's some daffodil, coral, there's several different colors of the tulips. And the reason I'm cutting along this part, I'm going to create a handle that will help me hold on to the designer series paper while I punch this tulip out. If I don't have a little handle to hold on to, I can always take a Post-it note. Just take, if you have regular size Post-it notes, cut them and take one piece and put it on to create a handle. You'll need something to hold on to that image. But now I've got a handle already. So I'm going to take the punch, turn it upside down, place the designer series paper in here, and then just slowly close it till it kind of touches the paper, and then allow that to just kind of get an equal spacing all the way around, and then punch this piece out. As I mentioned, this was just a little handle, but I'm going to actually use this piece for one of the greenery pieces on the flower. So I'm going to punch this out and have that one. I need one more. So what I'm going to do is actually take and trim off all of these images that are just a portion of an image. All of these on the edge that are a part of, or just cut off. And I'll stop right here and trim all of those off like so. All of these edge pieces can be used for this technique that I'm doing. So the first one I had punched, I was showing the green paper. I want one going the other way, so I'm going to rotate it and show the back side of the paper. Just make sure I'm catching all edges of the paper, and then I have the 2 greenery pieces that I need. So this I can hold on to, and I can utilize this for other projects. You don't need to waste much of that paper. So another thing I'm going to do for this flower is show you how I added some depth and some dimension to that. I took a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock and punched out both the images. I'm only going to use the petal portion of it, and I'm going to place that right down onto this flower. And then I'm going to take a Stampin' Blend. This is the dark So Saffron. I'm going to take the writing tip. I am going to follow the edge of this piece of Whisper White cardstock that I punched out from inked or from print edge to print edge. I'm going to try to avoid the white space on the flower, the border part of it. Flip that piece upside down, or rotate it I should say, or upside down would be maybe right. Put it on the other side and go from the top to the edge where I put the marker or the blender pen. I'm going to now take the brush tip, and while I hold this, I'm going to fill in this whole area between the 2 marks I made with a blender pen. It is going to dry softer color than it's showing right now, but what this allows me to do is to add some dimension and depth to this flower. and I think it works out pretty well. As I mentioned, it's a little bit darker. It's gonna dry softer. And before I get done with this, I'm gonna then take the writing tip and just add some curved lines, just add some extra lines in here, just add a little bit more depth, just random little lines there. So we're gonna set this aside, and then we'll talk about the assembly of the card and the other pieces of cardstock that we need. So what we need for this, and this is a wrong dimension, the Granny Apple Green is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This will be corrected on my blog. And then you need Granny Apple Green, that's 3/16 by 1.5 inches, and that's for the stem. We also need a piece of the Mango Melody cardstock, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and it's scored at 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I just use the Simply Scoring and scored that piece and crease that. To make the window, I'm going to use some additional new product. This is a die set that's in the mini catalog, and it's called Stitch So Sweetly dies. There are 6 rectangle scalp dies that have a stitch line, and they all stack up really well together, so you can do a lot of different layering for this, along with 2 or 4 additional dies. A wonderful die set. I'm going to use the rectangle that's approximately 2 inches by 3 1/8. Place it in this panel here, center it, run it through my die cutting machine to create a window. And then once I have that window created, then I'm going to take that and place it in the subtle 3D folder. Oops, I got dimensional stuck in there. And place that in here, run it through, and then I'll get a texture to that. The score line will be still there, but it'll be very faint. You still need to recrease that and use your bone folder to make sure that you got a nice crease there. So that's the work that needs to be done on the Mango Melody cardstock. We have a Whisper White piece that is 8 inches by 5 1/4, scored at 4, and you're gonna fold that in half. The other piece is the scrap piece that we already did the Tulip portion of. And then we need Designer Series paper, a 1 inch by 5 1/4, along with the tulip and the 2 leaf images. So to assemble this, we're gonna start out with this piece of white cardstock folded. Once you have this piece prepped, this card is gonna be folded on the right side. This fold is gonna be, score line is gonna be on the left side. You're gonna put this flap on the back panel of the white, put some adhesive. I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Snail, and then this is going to be placed like so. So that's going to adhere like so. Then I'm going to take and put my snail adhesive along the whole back of this, the edge, and this will be layered on top of the Granny Apple Green that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to place that like so. Then the Designer Series paper is placed along the right edge. So I'm going to apply some adhesive on here. The fold is on this side, so I'm going to take and place this Designer Series paper up to the fold, and so it's on the edge like so. And then for the decorating, the design, we're going to start out with the stem. This is 3/16, so just a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to put a dimensional on the bottom and one on the top. And if they hang over, the adhesive is over a little bit, that's okay, because I'll be covering that up with the other images. So towards the bottom, I'm going to place this. The tulip gets assembled with dimensionals. So I'm going to take 3 dimensionals and place on the back of the tulip. And as I mentioned, we allow this to dry a little bit. I'll flip it over and you can see that it dried really softly and turned out really pretty. Added a lot of depth to that tulip. I'm going to look at the top and get about 1/4 inch spacing there, maybe not quite, and place that down. It's covering up that little mini glue dot that had some exposed adhesive. Then I'm going to take a bone folder and crease or just put a little curve on the top of the two little greenery pieces, adhesive on the bottom, and I'm going to put one like so, oops, and put adhesive on this one, and cross that over like so, and I need to crease this a little bit so it stays folded a little bit. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take some Whisper White baker's twine and tie a bow. I think you need about 8 inches for the bow. I like to leave mine on the spool. I feel I don't waste as much ribbon or twine. Make my bow, trim off the excess here, and then I'm going to use a mini glue dot to attach this. So I'm going to drop this right on the mini glue dot, and then what I'm going to do is kind of tuck that exposed mini glue dot underneath the knot. I don't want it exposed, so just tuck everything underneath the knot. I'm going to just add that here. It will hang down like so. So there's our finished card. And you have a fun fold window card. You can change up the colors, change the different designs. This one is a lot of the same, with the same color, same sizes, and I used the suite in the mini catalog called Birthday Bonanza and to create this fun card. So I hope you enjoyed making this card. If you found me via YouTube, you can look in the comment section for a direct link to my blog post where you'll find the supply list, measurements, and instructions for this project. There'll be a PDF tutorial you can download with the right dimensions. And if you found me via YouTube, I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box underneath. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed creating this project with me.